5 signs God is telling you to move on. 5 signs God is telling you to move on. Hello everyone, thank you for tuning back into this channel. If you are new to this channel, please kindly hit the like button, subscribe, and also turn on notifications for more of this content. And if you're a returning subscriber, I want to also thank you for your consistency. Now, our topic for today is 5 signs God is telling you to move on. 5 signs God is telling you to move on. But before I continue with this topic, I want you to pay attention to this video by watching it from the beginning to the very end for you to understand when it's God is actually telling you to move on. Now, God is actually telling us to move on from a whole lot of things. There are signs that we are meant to see that God is telling you, move on from this situation, move on from this lifestyle, move on from this job. You know, there are signs we will see that we are meant to know that God is actually telling us to move on from such situations. Now, number one sign is a persistent lack of peace. A persistent lack of peace. Now, there are things you may be doing. It could be a job, it could be a relationship, and there is no peace in it. God is telling you today you need to move on from such situation, because where there is no peace, there is no God. You know, God is the Prince of Peace. Wherever God is, there is the presence of peace, because his peace passes all understanding. The peace of God passes all understanding. So where you are working currently, where you are currently, let me not just attribute it to only work. Where you are currently, if there is no peace, then it's a sign that God is telling you need to move on. You need to, in as much as you're moving on, you need to be prayerful for God to show you where you are moving next, to direct you your next step you take, to direct you on the next step you take. Because if you are moving on, you understand, if you are moving on, God will also equip you to the next step you take. So it's important to also ask God to show you, ask God to speak to you. What next should I do? There is no peace in this particular place. There is no peace in this job. There is no peace in this relationship. What am I supposed to do next? God will reveal it to you. God will show you. He's a loving Father and merciful Father. He will show you what to do. He will take you to where you will find peace, where you will find him, not where there is lack of peace. You know, where there is no peace, there is chaos. So it's important that you need to listen to him, hear what he has to say. Number 2, ongoing confusion. Ongoing confusion. There is, if we know one thing is for sure, is God is not an author of confusion. God is not an author of confusion. God is straightforward. It's the devil that is the author of confusion. So whenever you are and you are confused about a particular thing, you are always confused. When it comes to this particular thing, you are always confused. It's not clear to you. Then it's a sign God is telling you to move on. Move on from such situation. Move on. Because he is not an author of confusion. He cannot bring you somewhere or take you somewhere to be confused. He can't leave you like that. God is never an author of confusion. So it's important you need to understand that where you are confused times without number is a clear sign that God is telling you to move on. It's a clear sign God is asking you to move on. Then number 3, an unhealthy relationship. So many people, as I'm still talking to you, are quite aware they are in an unhealthy relationship and they have refused to leave. They have refused to move on. Reasons because they feel like they won't meet another person like this, or this person has a lot of money, or this girl is so beautiful that I can't leave her. Meanwhile, it's an unhealthy relationship. It's an unhealthy relationship. They have refused to pay attention to what God is telling them about that relationship. It's best to move on from such relationship. Unhealthy relationship that is not healthy, that is toxic, in fact, it's best to leave such relationship, because it is very, very unpleasant that you remain in such relationship It's not nice that you remain in such a relationship. It's a sign God is telling you to move on. When you are very much aware that this relationship is an unhealthy relationship, it's a sign God is telling you to move. Move, my son, move, my daughter. You need to move on. Move on. Sometimes you want to move on, like I said, you need to ask the Lord, pray to the Lord to be able to enable you move on. I know it's not easy. It won't be. It's very difficult, but it's only God that can give you that courage to move on. So ask Him to give you that courage to move on. Number 4, where doesn't encourage your growth. When God actually see that this place doesn't encourage your growth, He gives you signs to move on. He gives you signs that you need to leave, my daughter. You need to move on, my son. Where does not encourage your growth. When you don't grow, you begin to wear off. You begin to die spiritually. Where you don't grow, you just like, for instance, now you don't eat food, and food enables us to grow. You don't eat food. You don't eat anything. You don't drink water. If you don't do this within the next 5 days, you don't drink water, you don't eat, you are going to die. Same way, when you don't grow, you remain where you are. You remain where you are. You will not grow. This is a sign that God is telling you to move on. When you realize that you're not growing in this particular organization, you're not growing in this particular place, you're not growing, you find you're not growing in this particular environment, it's time for you to move on. And one thing is for sure, it's not everybody that has that discernment to be able to know they're not growing in a particular place. Not everybody. So if you have that ability to know that you're not growing in a particular place, it's best you leave. It's best you move on. It's better that God is actually showing you a sign that you need to move on. There are lots of people that are actually somewhere, they are not growing, and they are not aware they're not growing. They're not aware they're not growing. They're just there. Anyhow they see life, they take it. So you that are fully aware, is God's love for you, and God's love for you is telling you to move on. Number 5, where your morals and values don't align. You can be in a place where your morals and value don't align. How do I mean? For instance, you are in a relationship, and where you have this moral that you are going to have sex after marriage, and you have someone that is telling you, or a partner is telling you, you must do this, you must do this, you must do it before marriage, then it's a sign that you need to move on. You don't even need to start to debate about it. You don't need to make argument about it. Just move on. And the sign God is telling you to move on. Or you can be in an organization where you are a female in an organization, and your boss is asking you to sleep with a client just for them to award a contract to you. This doesn't align with your morals and values. This is God telling you to move on. And God that is telling you to move on will definitely provide a better one for you. He will definitely provide the best one for you. So it's important for you to note that when God is actually telling you to move on, it means that He has something better for you. Don't fall for the devil's schemes. This is part of the devil's schemes and method to lure you into committing sin against God. You can imagine, because you're a lady or because you're a guy working for an organization, they are asking you to sleep with clients so the company can win contracts. So you can imagine how awful that would be in the eyes of God. So when God is showing you these signs that you need to move on, you need to move on, because He has prepared a place better than your previous place. So thank you for watching this video. If you have come this very far to watch this video, don't forget to share this video to your friends and to your loved ones. Thank you very much, and remain blessed.